All right, good morning. I'm Aaron Heiser of Maker's Leather Supply, and this is actually going to be the first of two videos that I hope to complete today. Ultimately, what we're going to do is use our templates and make a tally book cover. Tally books are used primarily in the oil fields. A lot of welders, pipeliners use them. A lot of ranchers use them, stuff like that. And it's just a long, slender notebook designed to be able to. It's really long, so you can have a lot of writing in it, but it's slender, so you can stick it in your front pocket or your jacket pocket or your back pocket or whatever. A lot of notebooks are too big to stick in your pocket, and that's why this one's designed the way that it is. We've had a lot of requests for these, especially being in Texas. A lot of the oil field workers and stuff like that. This is pretty much an awesome gift for them. And a lot of them actually, a lot of oil fielders seem to do leather work in their spare time as well. Sorry, let me turn that radio down some more. A lot of oil field workers seem to do leather work in their spare time as well. So it's just a really great project. It's a simple project as far as there's not a lot of construction to it and stuff like that. But anyway, we're going to make this a two-part video because the first part I'm going to do what's called the quilted pattern, or what I call the quilted pattern. I don't really know what it's called, but basically it'll look like the old, like an old upholstered couch where it has the old ones that had buttons in them, stuff like that, and the material folded and creased down towards the buttons and stuff. Anyway, if you clicked on this video, then you already saw the thumbnail that shows what this will look like when it's done, because that's what I'll take a picture of for the thumbnail. Anyway, so let's get to it. So what I have here is our large our template for the tally book cover. It has three different pieces in it. This is the back, the main body of the book. It's got two interior pieces that'll hold your book in place. One there, well, it's only one piece of plastic, but you cut out two, and one there. And then this is the little card pocket for business cards or whatever that you'll sew somewhere around right there. Right now for this video, the only thing we're worried about is this one right here. We're going to use this big one, and we're going to cut out our outside, and yeah. All right, so what I have here is a piece of 4 to 5 ounce Wicked Craig russet tooling leather. Okay, it's actually technically it's skirting leather that they've split down into lighter weights for me. I like the russet because with what we're about to do is kind of a geometric stamping type thing, and it's going to have incredible burnish to it. So yeah, here we go. Using my scalpel, I'm just going to cut around the template like we do with our other ones. Probably should have put a brand new blade in this one. I should have done some research before I made this video. I apologize. I'll put it in the comments if I can. This scalpel was gifted to me by a fellow Facebook friend. She sent this to us. A friend of hers made it, and she thought that we might like it, and I do. I like it a lot. I made a similar scalpel some time ago, and people had been asking me, oh, do you still make those or whatever? And the answer is no. I never made them for other folks. I just made one for me. And then this one couldn't have come at a better time, too, because I actually threw mine across the room one day, and it broke. So I'm very happy to have this one, and I promise I won't throw it. But anyway, again, when I can sit down and get the name of the person that made this, I'll put it down in the comments and hopefully put some contact information in there. So, all right. The rest of this right now is just going to be set aside. We'll use it in the next video. I just need this one piece so that I can complete cutting out my square here. It's not perfectly square, but my rectangle. All right, so there we have it. There's our piece that we've cut out. Okay, It goes this way is the top of it. Make sure I got that labeled right. Yes. Okay. So this way is the top of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write top right here in the corner. Okay. And I'm doing it in the corner because if I did it in the middle, then it would show in the finished project. Yeah. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dampen my leather so that it's ready for stamping and tooling. Okay, I've got a spray bottle here, and all I'm going to do is give it a few sprays. I don't want to soak it. I just want a good coverage of water on it. All right. And then anytime I'm tooling anything that is less than, say, 8 ounces thick, which this is 4 to 5 ounce, I'm going to put some tape on the bottom of it. Anybody that's watched my tooling videos knows I use Scotch brand shipping tape. I don't use the packing tape. I use the shipping tape. It says it right there. The packing tape has left residue on the backs of my back of my leather, and I don't like that. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Is when I pull this off, I don't want it to leave sticky residue on my leather. If it does, then I have to line it, and this is not a project that I planned on lining. So I just evenly put it across the back of my leather. I don't skip any spaces. It's okay to overlap it a tiny bit if you need to, but I don't skip any space in between because that could be somewhere. What we're doing is trying to keep the leather from stretching when we tool it. All right, so there's all those pieces, and I'm going to take my scalpel here and run it along the side, and I'm going to cut off those end pieces of tape because they're going to annoy me and get stuck on my hand every time I do anything. So just going to go ahead and cut them off and alleviate that problem now. It is very important, however, that you don't let this packing or shipping tape kind of curl up and end up on your flesh side of your leather, because if you do, it will leave a mark that for some reason you just can't get out, and it won't take dye right there in that place, and it won't look right. All right, so there was what we've got. Now, this piece of leather was a little bit rough. It came out of my scrap bin when I'm cutting these sides up so that folks can buy them by the square foot and everything. I take some of the worst pieces and throw them in my own scrap bin because I know how to use them and it doesn't bother me at all, but I don't want to send them to customers. So what I have here is a glass slicker from Barry King, and I'm just going to use it and kind of lightly rub it across the tops or the surface of the dampened leather here. And that's going to kind of smooth out any of the pores and stuff like that. Some people would do this before taping, and they would kind of pre-stretch their leather out. It's not that necessary for me. I'm just trying to smooth the surface. I don't want to stretch it out. I don't want to misform it. I just want to smooth that surface. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over here and grab my wing dividers. And I'm going to set this thing up. We're going to do some fancy border work because that's just fun on a video. And it's a real simple border, but it looks really nice and people like it a lot. And it can really increase the beauty of a project to have a nice border on it. Okay. So I've set this thing up to be about 3/8 of an inch wide. I'm leaving a really wide border around the very edge. Actually, I am going to squeeze it in a little bit. About 5/16. I'm leaving a kind of a wide border because I hope to buck stitch this project instead of just sewing it. I think it'll be a really neat one to buck stitch. And I don't have a lot of samples of buck stitching around my shop, so why not? So I'm just taking my wing dividers and drawing me a simple border all the way around here. Okay, then I'm going to open them up just a little bit more. I'll go ahead and take them all the way out to 3/8. And I'm going to draw another border just inside of that one. Now, if you have a beater blade, which is a swivel knife blade that has 2 parallel blades on it, then you can use that. And I do have one, but I want to show people that you don't have to have one. So here we are. This is a beaded border now, okay, which means that we're doing 2 lines parallel to frame it out. All right, now I'm going to open it up to, see, that was 3/8. I'm going to go out to about 7/8 now and do one more line. No, let's go further. Sorry. Actually, no, this is now 7/8. I had it at 7/16 apparently. Okay. Let me stop because I'm getting my fractions all messed up. This is 5/8 of an inch wide. I apologize. It is 5/8 of an inch wide. 7/8 would be almost a full inch. That's not right. All right. So we're going to draw this line. Basically, it's about 5/16 inside of the last line, and yeah, it's a lot of swivel cutting, and then it's going to be a lot of beveling too. But you know what? It's going to be worth it when we get the end result going on. Okay, so now we need one last line because we're basically doing 2 beaded lines. All right, so I need to open this up another about 1/8 of an inch so that the second beaded line, or the second set of lines, matches the first set of lines. All right, that's pretty dadgum good. Now, if you have a hard time cutting long straight lines with your swivel knife, you may want to practice before you get into this, because parallel lines have to be as straight as you can get them, of course, so that they stay parallel. And what I'm going to do is I'll start cutting some of these on the camera, and then I'll cut others off the camera because I'm not trying to make this into a 9-hour-long video. I'll grab my trusty swivel knife here, and somewhere around here I have my jeweler's rouge on a strop. I'll strop up my blade real good. All right, I'm just going to start with the outside line and work my way in, okay? I'm just going to take and cut. Now, you can put a ruler up there and cut along the ruler. We're actually going to do that later in the project. And it can help you keep your lines straight. The problem with it is it's really hard to keep them, keep your distances measured because, of course, the blade is not going to lay completely flat up against the ruler. That's why I prefer not to do it here. When cutting a long straight line, it's always easiest to cut it just with the natural pull of your arm. Don't try to do it at some crazy angle or something that it's going to be hard to keep straight. I mean, this right now, this is just my elbow and my shoulder coming back towards me, and it's doing just fine. All right, that was the first square cut out. Now I'm going to cut the parallel line just on the inside of it. All right, this is the 4th line of the second border. All right, so there's what we have so far. It is cut in, or two of the 4 lines is cut in. Hopefully this thing will focus on it soon. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. I'll cut in the last 2 lines and we'll come back and we'll talk about where to bevel these 4 lines. All right, so again, all I did while the camera was off was cut in the other set of border lines there. And so here we are. All right, now to bevel this, what we want is we want those 2 beaded lines to be up. We want those to be the raised part. So we're going to bevel down the outside. Let me find something to point with. We're going to bevel down the outside of this line, the inside of this line, the inside of this line, and the outside of this line. So that those 2, it's almost like train tracks going all the way around the project. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use a push beveler. I own 2 of them, one of them by Barry King, the other one by Clay Miller. Both great products. We sell the Barry King version here. We're currently sold out, but we're hoping to have more by the end of the week. But anyway, they're awesome, and they make this real quick and easy. I'm going to put my push beveler on it, and I'm just going to push it all the way around. Now, I could turn it, go, turn it, go, turn it, go, but what I'm going to try to do is maximize my time here. So I did the outside of that line. Now I'm going to do this line right here because then the beveler's facing the same way, and it just saves me some time, and I only have to turn the project once because when it comes down to it, it's all about the time. Now I'm going to move over here and do the exact same 2 lines that need to be the exact same direction there. And there you go. That'll be 4. Every time I turn this project, I have to bevel down 4 lines. So I'll turn it 90 degrees, and then we'll bevel down 4 more lines. If I was trying to get some incredible depth and stuff out of this project, I wouldn't use a push beveler. I would go ahead and use a standard beveler in my maul and do it that way. But I'm just trying to get the illusion of depth here and get the beaded lines to stick up above the rest. And so it's okay to use this push beveler and get her done quick. So there's 2 sides done. Three sides. There we go. We're all beveled now. Okay, you can see it a little bit better now. You can see where these 2 train tracks here are sticking up when this area, the area in between, and then this area are all what's beveled down. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that border. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But first, a very, very important thing that I forgot to do beforehand, I need to cut out some picture frame matting because I want the tooling on this to be extra deep. So here I have, this is just a giant sheet. When I say picture frame matting, it's literally the stuff that goes around a picture in a matted frame. You can get a big, gigantic sheet of it. This one's been cut into quite a few times. But you can get a massive sheet of it from Hobby Lobby for like $9. Anytime I'm tooling anything less than about 8 ounce, once again, I will use this stuff. And I'll share with you the benefits in just a second. I got to find a pair of scissors and cut this out. So let me pause this right quick. All right. I couldn't find any big scissors. All I could find was a small pair, so this is cut out pretty shoddily. Anyway, so if I use the picture frame matting underneath it, then when I go to bevel or stamp this, I'll be able to achieve incredible depth because it's almost like the stamp can go past the depth of the leather. Really hard to show you on a video, but I've got pictures of things around, or I've got things hanging on the wall here that were tooled on like 2-ounce leather that you would think they were 8-ounce leather because of the amount of depth I was able to achieve and get by doing it this way. I'm going to go ahead and get my leather sprayed a little bit with some water because it's starting to dry on me. Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to use is an old Tandy tool. This tool is number F910. What it is, see if I can make this camera focus on it. It is a triangle-shaped beveler with lines in it. And I'm not getting the focus. But anyway, it is a triangle-shaped beveler. There's the point of it right there. And it just has lines going down it. All right? And what we use this for is to create what I like to call the rope border. I am not the person that invented this by any means. Pretty sure I learned it from an old Al Stolman book years ago. But what we're going to do is we're going to set it right up here in one of the corners. All right. And we want the one line of it, of the triangle, the long line, to be perfectly up against one of our beaded border lines. Okay. And we're going to give it a tap. That was a terrible tap. I let it move. All right. Now, I will tell you this. The one goal is we don't want to see the back end of the tool impression. It's a beveler, so all we want to see is the main part of the tool, and then we want it to fade out into nothingness. Okay? So I got that one line, or that one impression there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come behind that impression probably about 1/8 of an inch or so behind where I can see the impression disappeared. And I'm going to give it another tap. And I'm just going to keep doing that all the way down. Again, keeping one side of the tool up against that line. You can use your wing dividers and perfectly mark all these and everything, but once you've done it a few times, you kind of get the swing of it and the hang of it, and you don't have to be as accurate with your measurements, and I promise it'll look just great. Okay. So we're going down here. I'm going to get this one line done, and then I'll show it off. Now, the one thing I've never figured out with this tool and this border is going around a corner. So what I'm going to do is I'll find a different stamp or something to decorate the corners so that I don't have to. All right, and basically I stopped where it got to the back corner there, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the project around because now I'm going to go down the other side and I need the tool pointing opposite the direction that it just was going, okay? Now I'm going to try to explain where I'm going to put this tool, but basically I'm going to put it where now this long line is against the outer beaded border here, but I want the other side of the tool, even though it's going to disappear into nothingness, I want it to go straight across to where I just did that other line so that the two together form what looks like a twisted rope. And there's different ways to do this. You can do it where they form a line. You can leave a little bit of a gap, and then it's almost like a zigzag in between them and stuff. I promise if you got this tool and you sat down and practice it, then it'll make a lot more sense than me trying to explain it. And yeah. Ooh, I'm not being very careful today. I'm going to do a couple of these and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's the effect that we're getting. I know I've said it in a lot of videos. I need a better camera. There's the effect that we're getting right there. Okay. So again, this tool was pointed this way and it went down the tracks here. And then I turned it around and I pointed it the opposite direction and came back up. All right. So I'm going to do this one line and then I'm going to pause the camera and I'm going to do all the sides of it and we'll come back. Get where I can see better maybe. Yeah, I'm going to have it facing me so I can see the placement a little bit better of it. And again, you want to keep that tool to where you can't see the back of the tool impression. So there we go. We went all the way down it, and it looks pretty dang cool. All right. So again, I'm going to pause the camera, and I'll go around and do all four sides. That way I'm not boring you while you just sit and watch me stamp the exact same thing over and over. All right. So all four sides are done. Sprayed a little bit more water on it. And again, we've got these big blank corners right here. So I looked through all my old craft tools and everything, trying to figure out what I want to put in those corners, and I found a stamp that I don't think I've ever used before. I mean, it's an old stamp. It's definitely used, but it's a fleur-de-lis, the little French emblem thingy. Anyway, I tested it out. It fits perfectly in all four corners. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to stamp in all four corners. So, here we go. And it'll fill that little area up really nicely. And the top of it really is almost like a right angle, a 90-degree angle, so it just matches the project. Doesn't give it too much of a French feel, so that's good. Because the last thing some oil field worker is going to want is a French-looking notebook, I would assume. All right, I was just kind of looking to see where my top was. Okay, again, we marked it. So long side up. I'm going to go ahead and put these two stamps away, and then we're going to start cutting our lines for our quilted pattern. All right. Some people are really intimidated by this pattern because there's so many lines to cut, and they need to be straight and they need to be parallel. Again, we talked about it earlier briefly. That's where a ruler comes into play. This is our ruler that we make here at Maker's Leather Supply. We have them available in 3 different lengths. This is the 12-incher here. But anyway, the reason I designed it the way I did is it's got this grid along one side of it. And I'm not joking. I designed this grid for the sole purpose that I like to do this pattern. So, to do our quilted look, let me find my book that already has this. There we go. Here's our goal right here. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so what we have to do is cut these lines at angles here, and then we'll go back with a stamp and fill the centers of them, or where the lines connect. And yeah, that was a book I made a few years ago. The angle of the lines per se doesn't matter. I have two basic rules. I don't want them to be perfectly like the X's that it forms. I don't want them to be square. So I want like a narrow side and a wide side to it. And then also I want it to line up with the notebook. Okay, I don't want it to look like the pattern, you know, like on this side we're doing it at this angle, but then on this side we're doing it at this crazy angle, and it basically looks like it wasn't fit to the squareness of the notebook. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure a point an inch in from the corner down here, and I'll just use my stylus and make a little dot there. Okay, and I'm going to measure another point an inch in from the other corner, and I'm going to use my stylus, and I'm going to make a little dot right there. The reason I just did that, I don't want it to be such an extreme angled cut that it almost looks like those are square. So I am going to put the top corner of the ruler right there in the corner up here, but then I'm going to move the bottom part down to that little spot that we just marked. That was an inch in. Okay, and I'm going to take my trusty swivel knife here, and I'm just going to run that swivel knife right down the ruler. Okay, keeping it up against the ruler. You don't want to vary from the ruler, and you definitely don't want to let the ruler move. So here we go. So there's the first of our lines cut. Now, the simple way to create parallel lines to that, you figure out how far apart you want your lines. On our ruler, each of these grids is 1/8 of an inch. All right, and I think I want this one to be about 3/4 of an inch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over so that those grid lines are up against the leather. And I'm going to put the line that's 3/4 of an inch in from the edge directly over that line that I just cut. And then I'm going to take my swivel knife and I'm going to cut the next line right up against it. And again, it doesn't have to be our ruler, but I really do highly encourage that you use a clear ruler that has lots of parallel lines on it, and then you'll be able to do it this way, and it's way easier than trying to measure and mark all these and then follow them with your ruler. So I'm moving my ruler down again so that I again have that line directly over the line on the ruler, directly over the last cut. And I'm just going to keep on going. I'm going to be very careful not to accidentally cut into my borders. I don't want to cut into my borders. Yeah. But this is the easiest way to keep this perfectly parallel and straight throughout the project. All right, so we've gotten down to the bottom, or the top corner, I guess you could say. And we need to make sure we do the lines down here as well. So I'm going to flip it around and work away from the center just like I was a while ago, because that's the easiest way for me to swivel knife up against this ruler and keep it straight. I'm not cutting these ridiculously deep by any means, but I am definitely cutting them. I'm not just scratching the surface of the leather. I want a good cut there, but I'm not trying to weaken the leather by putting so many daggum lines in it that it's almost like a fold perforation. All right, so here's all my lines going one way. Done. Now I need the lines going the other way. I'm going to turn it back around to where my, there's my original dot that I created up against that top corner there. And I'm just going to go the other way. And I'm going to do it again. Okay, so there's the first of those lines. Now again, I'll move it over that 3/4 of an inch, put it on that line. Make sure it's nice and straight. And continue to cut. And there you can see where we're starting to have these really nice diamond patterns in the leather. This is also a very easy pattern if you need to tool initials or anything like that. This is a very easy pattern to go around that tooling with, unlike a basket stamp, that if you're trying to basket stamp on all 4 sides of something and have it all come together and match up at the other end, it's very difficult. But doing it this way, it's very easy, because you would just skip your cut across that and then go back to cutting once you're on the other side of whatever it is, whether it's a brand or initials, things like that. The simplicity of this pattern and how easy it is to lay down is why it's one of my favorites, besides the idea that it looks really cool when it's done. So, all right. A few more cuts and we're going to move on. We'll talk about it while I'm cutting here. Some people will bevel down these lines. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This one I'm not going to. I really prefer not to. I think it looks better without doing it. But it really is a personal preference, and it's something you should play with and decide, if that's what you like to do or not. If you do, you bevel down both sides of every single line, and it does kind of add to the idea that it looks like an old upholstered piece of furniture or something like that. But yeah. All right, so there we have it. All of our diamonds are cut in. It already looks pretty cool. We could just leave it like that, but we're not gonna. We're gonna go ahead and add some texture to it with a couple of Berry King stamps. So here's what we have. They're called shell filler stamps. Again, my camera never does focus on a tool, but I can get it to show me their impressions here in a few minutes. They're both the same stamp, except one's kind of narrow and one's a little fatter. So the narrow ones we'll use on the, let's see if I can remember my terminology, the acute angles, and the wider one we'll use on the obtuse angles. So the one's smaller than 90 degrees, the one's larger than 90 degrees. Not bad for a guy that didn't finish college. All right, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to put the point of it down at the very bottom of the diamond, and I'm going to tap it. And I'm going to go all the way across, doing it on every single diamond. And when this is done, every diamond will have one of these, either this stamp or the larger one, in every corner. So there's a good bit of stamping ahead of me here. So I'm going to do all these just one direction first. That way I'm not constantly moving my project to get, all 4 stamps at once. So yeah, I'm gonna pause the camera, and when I come back, all of the one direction will be done, and we'll start moving them a different direction. Okay. So I did them all one direction. It looks like I have a bunch of weeds growing up. So I'm going to flip it over now and do the other direction. So I've got the same tool in my hand, so I'm doing another acute angle, another of the small angles, and I'm just doing opposite of everywhere that I had one before. All right. So there's what we're looking at now, is these bottom couple of rows here. I'm going to pause the camera again, and we'll keep stamping. Okay, so tops and bottoms are done of each of them, and it already looks pretty cool. We could leave it at that. I used to. The one I showed you an example of a while ago, I left it that way. But I'm going to go ahead and grab the larger one now, and I'm going to do the sides. So we'll do a row or two of them here and pause it again. The bottom row down there is what's done. You can see that it really has a lot of depth. Everything's flowing down toward the center of the diamond there. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to pause it. I'll do that whole third row or third stamp, and then we'll come back and show you again. All right, 3 sides are done. Now we'll get that last side done, and this thing's going to look pretty cool. That row right there is complete. It looks like an old upholstered chair or couch, and like I said, it's one of my favorite stamps to use. I'm going to pause this again. I'll finish the whole thing, and then we'll talk some more. All right, all 4 sides of the diamonds are done. It's looking pretty daggum awesome. I went ahead and re-wet the leather as needed throughout the project. But now what I'm going to do is another border stamp on the inside wall here, just to kind of finish. Sorry, my finger went in the wrong place, but right along here. A lot of the time I'll use a small camouflager or something like that. This is a little bit fancier than that, but it's still kind of a camouflage type tool. And I'm just going to go all the way around the border, giving it a hit and lining it up with itself. And it'll give all those diamonds a stopping point, I guess you can say. So you can see it down there. Once that goes all the way around, it'll have a very nice finished look to it. And we'll come back when that's done. All right, so did the border stamp all the way around it. And we're going to go ahead and call this thing done. I really wish I could get this thing. Oh, there's the focus. Check that out. So, yeah, there's what we're looking at, folks. I was going to dye the bead lines going around it, but honestly, I'm undecided now. I don't really know if I want to, because I really like how it looks just like it is. I want to use a dark brown on the finished project, which will be in the very next video I post today. I'm going to use a dark brown lace and buck stitch around it. So I may go ahead and dye those lines dark, and then I'll figure out some sort of stain or something to darken some areas. That way it'll match that dark brown buck stitch. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something from it. And yeah, you can watch the rest of the next video for the rest of how to build the tally book cover out of this. So thanks a lot. Again, I'm Aaron Heiser, Makers Leather Supply, and thanks for watching.